I have advocated for Rebecca her entire life. It started when she was born. She was a preemie, and she was in the NICU for 3 months, and she was a very, very small baby. One of the smallest ones to survive 40 years ago. Started there. I mean, when I saw things in the NICU that had me concerned, I took it right to the person that was in charge and said, we need to work on this. All through school, advocating for her to get her needs met. And you know, the thing that I realized as we were thinking about doing this video was that I don't have to advocate anymore. Well, you know, I think the thing that I've always wanted for Rebecca is that she would be able to live an ordinary life. And, you know, you always think of people with special needs as having a special life. But I didn't want a special life for her. I wanted an ordinary life. I wanted her to have the same joys and love and
interests.
Yeah, interests and be able to follow her dreams. And this has made that happen for her.
My name is Rebecca Ellie. I'm the owner of Becca's Alpacas. I'm proud to be self-employed. This job brings me so much satisfaction because I own the animal.
So I had left a large agency that I had worked for 6 years, and I became licensed home in the Matsu Valley. Well, I remember getting the phone call from the care coordinator, who I wasn't really familiar with. And she's like, I have a young lady, she needs to get away from where she's currently at. Could she possibly stay with you for, you know, a weekend or two? And lo and behold, it was Rebecca. I've known Rebecca for years prior, for about 6 years in Anchorage.
Wow.
Our paths crossed several times. I was very close with her house parent at the time. And it was just a perfect fit. And her mom was elated. And, you know, something that was supposed to be for a couple weeks turned into 13 years.
Yeah, so things were, so do you remember how it felt to move into Kelly's home?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. So when Becca first moved in, she had maybe 20 hours a week where she had supported employment out in the community with sites that were contracted, and mostly dusting and organizing and I think trash, right? I think we did trash down at the racetrack. And it was just a lot of frustration, she didn't want to go. It was a lot of head-butting with her direct staff that would redirect her. Becca struggled with keeping a job on top of it. So I just remember just kind of crying out for wisdom. And one night I had a dream and I dismissed it. And then I had the same dream again right after I woke up, and I thought, wow, there must be something to this. And I had pictured Rebecca out in the yard with farm animals. And at the time, she only had a cat, and I think we had a dog, right? Oh. And I ran up by her mom, and her mom was just so excited. She's like, I've always wanted this for Rebecca, and she does so great on a farm. And my husband had said, what about alpaca? And I didn't even know what an alpaca was. I had heard about llamas, but never an alpaca. And we just started doing the research. We found some local farms here in the valley that was still in that business and walked us through what it would look like for her to start her own alpaca farm.
Alpacas made so much sense because their fleece is valuable and it's desirable, and we could work with it and make her life interesting and meaningful, and it all started coming together. I had been to a number of workshops on micro-enterprise, and I'd been through the process of trying to learn how to make it work. And the only idea that I could come up with that I thought would work would be something related to animals. And I thought, who in the world is going to ever help me with that? You know, this is who's going to be willing to take on animals and make it into a business.
Shortly after, I had received an email I should not have received. It was primarily for care coordinators, and it was the microenterprise grant application. And so I had sent it, I forwarded it to her care coordinator, and she says, oh, that's great that you got this. We could actually probably apply for this for Rebecca's business too. It's a matching grant, so we would provide the land and the building for the animals, and they would match the funds. We had a detached large shed that we converted to a barn, and we started off with I think 3 males and 3 females, and we had to separate them, of course, and we did 2 decent sized pastures. And it was a matching grant with the Mental Health Trust Authority, so that was amazing. And yeah, we had some issues because the makeshift barn, you know, had a lot of openings, and there was, you know, huge temperature drops, and we lost 1 baby alpaca to pneumonia in the middle of a winter. She was fine one moment, and then she passed the next, and it's a lot on Rebecca when she loses an animal. And so we knew that was going to be temporary until Rebecca had more land and more usable land where she could actually build a barn. And I want to say 3.5 to 4 years ago, we were able to pick up a property right up the road with 14 acres with a pond. And 2 years ago, we broke ground. We brought in like 20 truckloads of dirt just for the foundation of the barn, and it has running water, and it has electricity, and it has an electric fence. And so we were just thinking outside the box, what's going to be the easiest for Becca to maintain fence-wise, and just how to be able to take care of the animals a little better, where there's more security in keeping them safe through the winter, you know, during the harsh weather conditions that we usually get in January and February.
Yeah. I like animals because they don't judge you.
A lot of businesses in general with folks without disabilities, businesses fail every year for lack of planning and follow through. So to have the right guardian, the right care coordinator, and the right environment where this particular individual is living with the right supports, just constantly moving forward is key, or it's just not going to work.
If we didn't have the team that we had, I don't think it would work. I mean, you really need, we've all put a lot into this to make it work. And it really helped when I retired because I've had a lot more time. And so I have spent quite a bit of time coming out and helping at the shop. And I do the books for her, and I also spin. So I didn't know how to spin before, but I learned since this process, and I learned how to dye yarn, and I came in and taught them how to dye. So it's just been, you know, everybody has kind of put in their piece of what they can add to the team, but the team has been so incredibly essential. But I think, you know, for me, just seeing the evolution of Rebecca's maturation, I guess, has been phenomenal. This went from a kid that had significant behavioral issues, really significant, to, you know, what you see now, which is pretty much the way she is most of the time, and the behavioral issues have kind of dropped away, and I think a lot of that has to do with having a meaningful life. I think, you know, that is one of the things that we learned at the schools that she was at in out of state, that when you focus on the strength the person has instead of their deficits, it just completely is a total paradigm shift, and it makes things work.
Really being able to take the box that a lot of agencies put these guys in and pretty much destroy it. To think outside the box, to do things that are not common and that are challenging, and that you may not have it all figured out, but you're going to try it anyway, regardless of the cost. And so for Rebecca, this was important because it wasn't working with supported employment prior. So we had to think outside the box, and thankfully she has a phenomenal team, care coordinator, her mom's her guardian, very involved, and that's what it took. And even if we came across someone or something saying no, we would look for a back way into solving the problem. And so for me, I put my heart and soul into what I do. It's not just a job. At the end of the day, I would do it even if I wasn't paid. And I think that's important. I think that's a lot of the success behind the supported employment piece for some of these guys is the overall joy and satisfaction.
And I think that we've been able to focus on her strengths, and we've been able to make this work, and it's been incredibly successful. It doesn't have to be monetarily successful, it just needs to work. And it has.
So my wisdom to you, if you want to start a business, that's how you want to say it. No, you gotta.
My wisdom to you, if you want to start a business, is get a grant. Start one.
And what about to have the right team?
Have the right team.
Okay. And to keep trying.
Keep trying. Don't give up.
The satisfaction you feel
The
of
satisfaction you feel
When you get spit on from the Alpaca. The satisfaction one feels when they get spat on from the Alpaca is just priceless.
No, it's not.
You can't even convey it, Becca, to the camera. You can't. They have to go through it themselves. You should invite them out to come be spat on.
No, I shouldn't. They only spit if they feel threatened.
Well, sometimes you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, did that just happen? Oh, yeah. The green from the third stomach. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Ew.
I was like, oh, Becca, how I love you because I put up with this. Not funny.